This is The Naked Life with Roxanne Noor. Hello, my loves. Thank you for joining me today. I have been reading The Red Book by Jung, and today's discussion, today's topic, I really want to focus on something he brings up in the beginning of the book. And it's about this tension that he feels from two seemingly opposing forces that both operate within him. So Jung talks about these two opposing forces as the spirit of the times and the spirit of the depths. So the spirit of the times would be basically the zeitgeist, what is going on in this moment, in this predicament that you're born into. So, for instance, I've lived during the era of Trump where I've seen really strong divides between Republicans and Democrats, and that gives way to my political identity during those specific times. It's what you've experienced basically through your environment at a specific moment in time, the moment that you were born in. And the spirit of the times is also what you want to do with your day, your daily affairs, what you have as goals for a specific time in your life. And most of us are really operating through the spirit of the times, which is about trends, what we're interested in, what our environment says is culturally appropriate or not. And this is how we're informed and how we want to operate in the world as modernized people of these times. Then the other force is the spirit of the depths. And this is the part of us that really isn't satisfied with what the spirit of the times has told us that we need or need to be. This is the part of us that is really ancient and primordial. It's the part of us that really speaks through dreams. Jung was really involved in the unconscious, right? And we can access this part through the recognition, through the symbolism of what happens to us in our dreams. And we also feel it when we're in nature, when we're attached to something that is bigger than us, that connects us in a way to our own insignificance. So when you're by a waterfall and you're listening to the song of the waterfall and everything else in the mind kind of goes silent, and there's the feeling that there's something so eternal. This is the spirit of the depths. It speaks to us when we're also on the periphery in a way of madness, when we're emotionally volatile, when things get murkier, when we're not satisfied with what the times has given us, when we know that there's something more. And this parallel that Jung speaks of, we have this all within us. And most of us as modernized humans are really involved in the spirit of the times. But what's missing is really the spirit of the depths. And it doesn't speak in reason. It doesn't speak in logic. It doesn't make sense. Even when you look at your own dreams, they're a web of complexity of the things that you can't talk about during lunch with your acquaintances, what you're not allowed to express in the workplace. It's really murky. Yeah, waters. What are the depths? The depths become deeper, darker. And from what I've seen as a westernized human in a capitalistic society is that when I slip into depression, it's usually from giving too much importance to the spirit of the times. But what I've also noticed when I'm living outside of the West, so when I'm in India, when I live a lot on a small island in Thailand, when I'm in these states of kind of more being involved in creation, being involved in community, being involved in nature, is when I'm so deeply enmeshed in the spirit of the depths that when I go back to the Western world, I'm not functional anymore. I don't know how to interact in normal social settings. I'm too much in the spirit of the depths, which scares people and can put people off. So I guess what we all need to balance and muster in ourselves is, when do we want to be involved in the spirit of the depths, and when do we want to be involved in the spirit of the times, and how to dance between the two of them in flow. From myself, I know that being a creative person, writing, directing, doing projects of artistic value, the spirit of the depth is so necessary. But for things like going to the DMV, filing taxes, going to job interviews, the spirit of the times is essential in knowing how to conduct myself in the time period, in the place that I'm involved in. And so when we can understand both and the way they function within us, we can be involved in both, and we can see when each one is appropriate. The spirit of the depths really speaks to the soul. And Jung has a really beautiful way of describing the soul. I want to read it to you guys, actually. So this is from the Red Book. Jung says, "He whose desire turns away from outer things reaches the place of the soul. If he does not find the soul, the horror of emptiness will overcome him, and fear will drive him with a whip-lashing time and again in a desperate endeavor and a blind desire for the hollow things of the world. He becomes a fool through his endless desire and forgets the way of his soul, never to find her again. He will run after all things and will seize hold of them, but he will not find his soul, since he would find her only in himself." And this is really what it means for when we feel spiritually deprived, is usually when we're not accessing our soul, when we're so involved in the external world that we forget about the contents inside of us. Because the way to operate, from what I've seen in myself that's most intelligent, is from the inside out. The more we're involved in just grabbing at the external world, what the spirit of the times told us we'd need, the more there's this feeling of hollowness, because we're grasping and grasping and grasping, and it's not going to satiate us. Because the thing that satiates us, the feeling of being a body that houses a soul, is when we can give way to the inner life. And so, I just felt really inspired reading the Red Book. I feel like a lot of times Jung is referred to in other books I read. I'm currently reading On Connection by K. Tempest, and this book is also beautiful, and they talk about the Red Book as well. But actually reading the Red Book and seeing the way Jung analyzes his own dreams is extremely beautiful and profound. And so I would just say, for anyone who's interested in his work, that this is a really profound piece of writing. And with that, I just want to say that the spirit of the depths is really what's missing in a lot of Western culture. And if you feel like you're really involved in the spirit of the depths, then what's really missing is the spirit of times, the spirit of knowing where you're placed in the political climate, the ideologies around it, the culture itself, and really observing what's happening around us. And so both seem conflicting, but I think there's a point where we can allow them to merge. And I think art does that, because good art is timeless, but it also speaks to the times that we're living in, the tensions that we're feeling within ourselves, within the society we're placed in. And so when we can merge both of these places as humans, as artists, then we can find a sense of integration and wholeness. So thank you guys for listening and for the support, and I wish all of you feelings of wholeness and beauty, and that you can connect to that deep place inside you, which is the soul.